Hey friends, today I want to share with you why I believe that keeping a commonplace book can be a really positive and powerful practice for women, specifically women over 50. I'll show you what I'm going to use and how I'm going to use it and the systems that I'm trying out as I begin my commonplace book journey. Now, the reason I say women over 50 is simply because, well, I'm over 50. And what I've discovered in just the short amount of time from starting a commonplace book has me all up in my feels about where I'm at in my life at 53 and how I intend to use this book at this time. But really, aside from my specific viewpoint in this one video, I also think that anyone at any age can apply some of the same ideas and get something out of using a commonplace book. So according to one of the many definitions out there, a commonplace book is a personal collection of information you want to remember or revisit later. Now that is exactly what I need in my life, because truth be told, at this point in my life, as much as I love planners and I love my Hobonichi cousin, this year I'm discovering that I'm just struggling with finding things to write down in my planner. Now, do I love making my planner cute with stickers? Yes, of course I do. And do I love gluing paper into my planners? Yes. I mean, look at all this paper. For me, gluing down paper is a hobby all on its own. I mean, if collecting paper scraps could be a side hustle, oh my God, I'd be a freaking zillionaire. The issue I'm coming across this year is actually writing in my planner. The planner in me is struggling because I'm one of those women who really thrives when it comes to having some type of structure in my life. And honestly, the life that I have now, I just don't have a lot of structure. Meaning, besides grocery shopping and my very part-time work schedule, the rest of my time is pretty open-ended. I do what I want, whenever I want. Now, I'm not complaining. It's just been a little frustrating for me as someone who loves physically writing and documenting things on paper to not have a reason to do it. So I want to find a way to find joy in that again. So that's why I decided that it was time for me to jump into my very first commonplace book. So here are my 5 reasons that I believe that women like me in their 50s in this second half of life would benefit by having a commonplace book. Number 1, it is so easy to get started. All you need is a notebook and a pen. You start with a notebook of your choice and a pen, and then you add on whatever you decide fits your style. Now, my first thought was that a passport size or a regular size traveler's notebook would be perfect. The passport size is nice and compact, but the paper is a little bit smaller, so I thought, you know what, let me go with the regular size. And then I looked at it and I thought, well, I plan on using this a lot. So instead of having to continually buy inserts, let me get a little creative and take a Midori notebook and cut it down. Now I have the best of both worlds. I have the size that I want with the amount of pages that I think I'll need. Basically, I watched a bunch of videos on commonplace books and took whatever caught my interest and then personalized the setup that works best for me. And you should do the same. I'm just starting this journey. I'm not an expert on this. I'm just showing you what I did. Of course, I want to have a cover on this. And since I'm waiting for my cover from the Travelers Company, I thought, what is an alternative? And so I thought hard and decided, you know what? This Jinbun Techo, I have not used at all. So I might as well use, I put some washi tape in, but I have written absolutely nothing inside of this book. So I thought, you know what? Let me use this cover as the cover for my common planner. Let me see if it fits in. So let's see if this fits in. I think it should. And there we go. Perfect. So that is what I'm going to use as my planner cover until my Travelers Company cover gets here. So back to my list. A commonplace book offers you a way to curate the best of everything that you encounter on any random day. For me, I like that it's kind of like the lifestyle that I live. It is totally open-ended and I don't have to make a quote-unquote plan to have something to write down. Number 3, this book will be a place for you to document the things that are most prevalent in your life now that you are in this new chapter of your life. For women of a certain age like me, that entails discovering the confidence and wisdom that blooms as a woman gets older. There is something so wonderful about finally deciding what's truly important in your life. So if you want to really simplify things, there is a minimalist way to just use a notebook and a pen, using symbols or a written index. However, I decided that I want to add a little color, so I'm going to use colored ink. So I have gathered all the supplies that I think I'm going to need. I have made out a list of all the categories that I'm going to use in this book, and then I'm going to use the ink to mark them down as well. So first thing up on my list, I have affirmation, and this is just positive thoughts. I love a good affirmation quote, and I love it because it reminds me to be good to myself. The next category is adventure, and this to me means road trips, just information about places that I go, things that I see. So that is that. Then the next one is a big one. It's grow. And to me, that is self-help and reflection. I struggled for years to be happy. And then amazingly, something finally clicked for me when I turned 50. And wow, what an adventure I've been on ever since. I am more confident than I've ever been before. I am more at ease with who I am than I have ever been before. I'm finally focused on living the very best life that I can. And I plan on putting all of that down here in this book. Next up, we have learn. And this category is basically just for notes about projects, recipes, that type of thing. Just anything that I am learning. The next category is love, and that is family and friends. And that will be anything that I want to write that deals with family and friends. The last category is joy, and that is anything that sparks joy in my life. It could be a sticker, it could be a new pen ink, absolutely anything could be in that category. So I got you at this weird angle because I write at a weird angle. So I'm going to start setting out my key here in my Commonplace book. And while I do that, I'm going to get back to reason number 4, why every woman over 50 needs a Commonplace book. And number 4 is this. It's not pretty, but it's true. A commonplace book will help to counteract the age-related memory decline that we know is inevitable as we get older. In fact, I'm already feeling that brain haze that comes along with all my hormonal changes. And between you and me, I hate that feeling. So this book will hopefully function as my additional external memory to help retain all the knowledge that I have accumulated over my lifetime. Because I want to hold on to as much as I can for as long as I can. I'm hoping that using a commonplace book will be a great way to exercise my brain. And I want a way to document the wisdom, the memories, the inspiration that I've learned along the way through quotes and poems, recipes and reflections, song lyrics, and all the random information that I am now more in tune to recognize now that I'm trying to live each day with intention. Now, the last reason that I think that every woman over 50 needs a commonplace book, well, it stems from a very personal situation in my life, that being watching the decline of my own mother. She just turned 85 over the holidays, and she's been fighting the effects of Parkinson's for the better part of the last decade. If you're in your 50s like me, I think you can relate to the notion that we grew up in a time where moms were moms and kids were kids. The roles were very, very much set out. And even though we were successful to have a great adult relationship to this day, I just wish I knew her better. In fact, the last fully lucid conversation that I had with her earlier this year, I actually did have the courage to ask her some more intimate questions. I was just yearning to get to know more about who she was as a woman, not just as my mom. That's another reason why I'm feeling so motivated to use a commonplace book, because I think it has the potential to become a really positive testimony of all the encouraging words that help keep me inspired by documenting what means the most to me as I age with passion, as I hopefully age with grace, and ultimately age with the knowledge that we can always try to better ourselves and live a life filled with joy. I truly believe that this can be the ultimate personal legacy of yourself to pass down to someone that you love someday. Because as much as I would like to think that my kids know who I am, I don't think there's anything that could ever be a more intimate explanation of who I am than seeing behind the curtain of what I found was important enough to spend the time to write down and reflect on. And why I thought it was important enough to write down in the first place. And how those words played into the woman that I am and the woman that I'm striving to become. So I'm going to hop off camera and do a little thinking and figure out how I'm going to use these pages in the future and show you some examples of what I came up with. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back, and we're just going to do a really quick flip through of everything that I set up. So first up, we have my traveler's notebook, and that's just there for storage right now. This is my main notebook, and I just put some coordinating paper onto it with some glue tape. The first page, or the inside page, I will probably put some stickers on this because, I love stickers. The first page of actual writing, I put down some stickers from Portland. I got them, and they're just themed out for dusk writing because this is a book all about just writing. And so I have commonplace books, and I just have some random information that I got off of Wikipedia. Basic, easy peasy. This is my key. I have all of my different categories here, and then there is a color that goes with that category. And I did change my pin for writing in this. So this first entry is affirmation. And I have written down things that I got off of Notes by Thalia off the internet. And as you can tell, I already messed up with my little lines. I meant to put them on the outsides and I didn't do it. That's that. It is what it is. We'll move on and just continue. So these are just affirmation quotes that I looked up. Gratitude is my attitude and it shapes the world. I am grateful for the abundance that is on its way. The happiness in my life depends on the quality of my thoughts. I find happiness in my daily actions and choices. These are just quotes that spoke to me, and so I wrote them down. So next up, we have adventure. And so on the next page, we have venture. It's just information off of Google. This is where I put where I get it. And then this is Bellingham, Washington. That's the last place that I went. And this is just basic information off of Google, including things like zip codes, population, elevation, just information about Bellingham. Next page is blue, and blue is love. So for this page, I picked out Christina Perri, 2011, 1,000 Years. And this is just the lyrics to that song. And this is meaningful to me because this played in the video that played at my wedding to my husband. And so because it has deep meaning to me, I thought this is the perfect place to put it down. I did mess up a little bit. I had to use some whiteout, but you know what? That happens. I'm not going to get all crazy about that. So the next one is orange, and orange, I'm going to figure this out eventually, but oranges grow. And so for this one, I did some quotes from the book I'm reading, The Happiness Recipe by Morrison. And when I read a book, I like to highlight. And so what I did is I just wrote down what I highlighted in chapter 1. This will be a great way to have that to reflect back on. And then we have joy. And joy is anything that I want. So I decided to write about the Travelers Company. I recently got my passport size Travelers notebook, and I'm waiting on my standard one now. Very excited about that. So that is that. Last one we have is green, and green is, what is green? Green is learn. So green is learn. So I have the New York Times roasted chicken recipe. This recipe is so easy that you think, why do we even need to write it down? But because it makes such a great chicken, I wanted to write it down. So this is just an example of all the different categories, all the pages that I wrote in. It was easy, it was fun, and looking back at it, I am really excited to always have this in this notebook. So I hope that you'll spend some time here with me this year as I share and reflect on how I'm using my Commonplace book. I hope I can inspire you to give it a try. And if you're watching this and already use a Commonplace book, then I love the idea that we're doing this together. I'd love it if you would like and subscribe and check back in to see where this takes me, and maybe something I say might help remind you to seek out the best of everything, to live a life filled with joy, and together we can celebrate being a woman of a certain age. Until then, thanks for joining me